I'm not worth much, but I'll spread my legs for a roof over my head, the trembling girl whispers to the giant cowboy as winter winds howl across the barren plains, her last words before collapsing from exhaustion at his doorstep. The townspeople who turned her away see only another drifter destined to freeze in the coming storm. They assume she'll be used and discarded like all the rest, forgotten before spring arrives. But the giant cowboy, haunted by his own devastating losses, recognizes something extraordinary hidden beneath her desperation, something that could either save them both or destroy the fragile peace he's built in isolation. Her secret education threatens to expose buried truths about his failing ranch, while mysterious letters pursuing her across the frontier carry consequences that could unravel everything they might build together. Will her hidden knowledge become their salvation, or will the shadows of both their pasts consume them before they can find redemption? Before we continue, comment where you are tuning in from. Perhaps we will publish a story there. The Colorado Territory stretched endlessly before Evelyn Thompson, her worn boots crunching against the frozen ground. 3 days without food had left her weak. 4 nights sleeping in abandoned barns had left her desperate. The town of Redemption appeared on the horizon like a mirage, its wooden buildings promising shelter from the bitter November wind. Evie pulled her threadbare shawl tighter. Just 2 months ago, she had been a seamstress in Denver, earning honest wages and saving every penny. The man with the silver tongue and expensive suit had promised to double her money through railroad investments. Instead, he vanished with her life savings and left her with nothing but empty pockets and broken dreams. The first building she approached was Murphy's General Store. Through the window, she saw shelves lined with food and supplies, her stomach cramped with hunger. The store owner took one look at her dark skin and patched dress. He shook his head before she could speak. The saloon door slammed in her face. The boarding house owner laughed at her request for work. Each rejection cut deeper than the last. Mayor Joseph Hargrove emerged from the town hall as Evie stumbled down the main street. His gray mustache twitched with disgust. He studied her appearance with cold calculation. "We don't have room for your kind here," he said. "Best you move along before sunset." The words hit like physical blows. Evie had heard them before, in different towns, from different men. She nodded and continued walking, her head held as high as exhaustion would allow. The sun dipped toward the mountains. Temperature dropped with each passing minute. Evie knew she would not survive another night in the open. Her body had reached its limits. A dirt road led away from town toward an isolated ranch. Smoke rose from the chimney of a modest house. Cattle grazed in the distance. Signs marked property boundaries, but Evie could read the words despite the fading light. Few people in these parts expected that skill from someone who looked like her. The ranch appeared run down. Fences needed repair. The barn door hung crooked on its hinges. Mathematical calculations scrawled on a post near the gate showed cattle counts, but the numbers were wrong. Evie could see the error immediately. She approached the house on unsteady legs. Her reflection in the window showed a woman at the end of her rope. This was her final chance. Heavy footsteps answered her weak knock. The door opened to reveal a man so tall he had to duck under the frame. Samuel Colton stood 6 feet 8 inches, with shoulders broad enough to block out the setting sun. His beard was unkempt, his clothes wrinkled, but his eyes held no cruelty, only surprise. "Please," Evie whispered. Her voice cracked from thirst. "I need shelter." Sam looked past her toward the empty road. No horse, no wagon, no traveling companions. This woman had walked here alone. "I don't have much to offer," Evie continued. Shame burned in her cheeks. "I'm not worth much, but I'll spread my legs for a roof over my head." The words hung in the cold air between them. Evie braced herself for his response, expecting the worst. Sam's expression shifted from surprise to something resembling pain. He stepped back and opened the door wider. "Come inside where it's warm," he said quietly. "You look half frozen." Evie hesitated. Men who offered kindness often wanted payment later, but the alternative was certain death in the approaching storm. The ranch house interior was sparse but clean. A fire crackled in the stone fireplace. The smell of coffee and bacon lingered in the air. Books sat stacked on a table next to papers covered with numbers and calculations. Sam gestured toward a chair near the fire. Evie sank into it gratefully, feeling warmth seep back into her bones. "When did you last eat?" Sam asked. "3 days ago." He ladled soup into a bowl and placed it before her. The first spoonful tasted like salvation. She forced herself to eat slowly despite her hunger. Sam poured coffee into a tin cup. Steam rose from the dark liquid. Evie wrapped her fingers around the warm metal. "You can read," Sam observed. It was not a question. Evie nodded. She had been foolish to demonstrate that skill so openly. Most people found educated former slaves threatening. "Those cattle counts on your gatepost," she said carefully. "The mathematics is incorrect." Sam raised an eyebrow. He pulled the papers from the table and set them beside her bowl. Columns of figures covered the pages in messy handwriting. "Show me," he said. Evie studied the numbers. Her mind worked quickly through the calculations. The errors were significant and costly. "Here," she pointed to several lines. "And here. You're undercounting by nearly 40 head." Sam stared at the corrections. His expression grew thoughtful. "Where did you learn to cipher like that?" The question carried weight. Evie chose her words carefully. "I had opportunities others didn't." Outside, wind rattled the windows. Snow began to fall in thick flakes. The storm had arrived. "You can stay tonight," Sam said. "There's a spare room in the back." Evie felt tears prick her eyes. Simple kindness had become so rare. "What do you want in return?" Sam looked toward the papers scattered across the table. Then he looked back at her. "Maybe we can help each other." Morning light streamed through frost-covered windows. Evie woke in an actual bed for the first time in weeks. The quilted blanket smelled of lavender and honest soap. She had slept without fear, without cold, without the gnawing pain of hunger. Sam was already in the kitchen when she emerged. Bacon sizzled in the cast-iron pan. Fresh coffee filled the pot. He nodded toward the table where he had spread every piece of paper related to his ranch operations. "I stayed up thinking about what you said," Sam began, "about the numbers being wrong." Evie approached the table cautiously. The papers revealed a financial disaster. Bills unpaid, cattle sold at losses, feed purchased at inflated prices. The ranch was bleeding money. "May I?" she asked, gesturing toward the documents. Sam stepped back. Evie began organizing the papers into logical groups. Her fingers moved with practiced efficiency, creating order from chaos. Within minutes, she had constructed a clear picture of the ranch's true condition. "You're 3 months from bankruptcy," she said quietly. Sam's shoulders sagged. He had suspected the truth, but seeing it laid out so clearly hit like a physical blow. "My wife Clara handled the books," he explained. "After she died, I just kept things going day by day. Never looked at the bigger picture." Evie's expression softened. She understood loss intimately. "Tell me about Clara." Sam's voice grew distant. "She died 3 years ago. Influenza took her and our newborn son within a week. I haven't been the same since." The admission hung heavy in the warm kitchen. Evie recognized the hollow look in his eyes. Grief had a particular weight that changed everything it touched. "The numbers can be fixed," she said, "but you need to understand how they went wrong." She pointed to the feed purchase records. "You're buying grain at retail prices instead of wholesale. These cattle sales happen during low market periods. Your breeding records show no systematic approach to bloodline improvement." Sam stared at her analysis. Each point revealed another layer of mismanagement. "How do you know all this?" The question Evie had dreaded finally came. She took a deep breath and made a choice that would change everything. "I was born on Whitmore Plantation in Georgia," she began. "The master's daughter Sarah taught me to read in secret when we were children. She believed education was a right, not a privilege." Sam listened without interruption. "After emancipation, Sarah convinced her father to let me help with plantation records. I learned accounting, livestock management, crop rotation schedules. When the union teachers came during Reconstruction, Sarah made sure I attended every lesson." The story continued to unfold. Sarah Whitmore had died young. but not before ensuring Evie received an education that rivaled any finishing school graduate. Mathematics came naturally. Business principles made logical sense. Evie's mind could hold complex calculations and see patterns others missed. Sarah used to say I had a gift with numbers, Evie concluded. Said it was like watching someone paint, but with figures instead of brushes. Sam absorbed this revelation. The woman he had offered shelter possessed skills that could save his ranch. What happened after Reconstruction? Sarah died of consumption. Her father sold the plantation and moved north. I went to Denver, found work as a seamstress. Thought I could build a simple, safe life. The pain in her voice revealed how that dream had crumbled. The confidence man took everything? Evie nodded. Every penny I had saved. Left me with nothing but the clothes I wore. Sam studied the organized papers spread across his table. Evie had accomplished in one morning what he had failed to do in 3 years. She had identified problems, calculated solutions, and created a path forward. You said we could help each other, Evie said carefully. What did you mean? Sam walked to the window and looked out at his struggling ranch. Cattle wandered without proper management. Fields lay fallow that should be producing winter feed. Buildings needed repairs he could not afford. I need someone who understands business, he said. Someone who can make sense of all this. He gestured toward the papers. And you need a place to stay, work that pays fair wages, and time to get back on your feet. Evie felt her heart race. This was more than she had dared hope for. What exactly are you proposing? Sam turned from the window. His expression was serious but kind. Partnership. Equal shares in whatever profits we can generate. You handle the business side, I handle the physical work. We split everything down the middle. The offer stunned her. Men did not offer partnerships to women, especially women who looked like her. Why would you trust me with that much responsibility? Because in one night, you showed me more about my own ranch than I learned in 3 years, Sam replied. Because you're honest enough to correct my mistakes instead of taking advantage of my ignorance. Evie stared at the papers. Numbers told stories if you knew how to read them. This ranch's story could have a different ending. The townspeople won't like it, she warned. A woman like me working as your partner. The townspeople aren't trying to save this ranch. Sam extended his hand across the table. Partners? Evie looked at his outstretched hand, then at the papers that represented both challenge and opportunity. For the first time since leaving Denver, she felt something besides desperation. She reached out and shook his hand firmly. Partners. 6 months transformed everything. Evie's organizational systems revolutionized the ranch operations. She implemented selective breeding programs that improved cattle quality. Her wholesale purchasing agreements cut feed costs by 30%. Detailed record-keeping revealed profit opportunities Sam never knew existed. The ranch account books showed black ink for the first time in years. Debts were being paid down systematically. New equipment replaced broken tools. The operation hummed with efficiency under Evie's careful management. Sam taught her to ride horseback with patient instruction. She learned to repair fences and tend sick cattle. Her soft hands grew calloused from honest work. The frightened woman who had arrived in winter became a confident partner by spring. Their evening routine developed naturally. Sam practiced reading while Evie reviewed the day's numbers. She helped him sound out difficult words. He shared stories about ranch life and cattle behavior. Mutual respect grew into genuine friendship. The mail arrived on Tuesdays. Each week brought another mysterious letter addressed to E. Thompson. Evie collected them quickly and stored them unopened in her room. Sam noticed but respected her privacy. Everyone had secrets they were not ready to share. The town of Redemption watched their partnership with growing suspicion. Tongues wagged when Sam and Evie appeared together at the feed store. Whispered conversations stopped abruptly when they entered buildings. Mayor Hargrove's disapproval was obvious and vocal. Anna Collins proved different from the others. The schoolteacher approached Evie at the general store one afternoon when Sam was loading supplies. Anna's brown eyes held curiosity instead of judgment. "You're the woman working at the Colton Ranch," Anna said. Evie tensed, expecting another confrontation. I am. I hear you can read and cipher better than most men in town. The comment surprised Evie. She nodded cautiously. I could use help with school supply orders, Anna continued. The arithmetic gives me trouble sometimes. Would you be willing to look at the numbers? This was the first friendly overture Evie had received from any townsperson. She agreed to help. Their friendship developed through shared work. Anna brought her supply catalogs to the ranch every few weeks. Evie calculated the best purchasing options while Anna shared town gossip and teaching challenges. The school teacher became Evie's only ally in redemption. Summer brought longer days and harder work. Evie learned to brand cattle and assist with difficult births. Sam showed her how to read weather patterns and predict storms. Their partnership deepened into something unspoken, but undeniable. The first kiss happened during a July thunderstorm. Lightning crashed outside while they waited in the barn for the weather to pass. Evie startled at a particularly loud thunderclap, and Sam instinctively pulled her close. Their eyes met in the dim light. The kiss was gentle, tentative, full of emotions neither had expected to feel again. They separated awkwardly afterward, uncertain how this changed their partnership, but the attraction was mutual and growing stronger each day. Mayor Hargrove organized a town meeting in August. The official topic was community improvements, but everyone knew the real purpose. Evie's presence at the Colton Ranch had become a source of scandal that demanded addressing. Decent folk don't live in sin, Hargrove declared to the assembled crowd. Samuel Colton needs to make an honest woman of his housekeeper or send her packing. The ultimatum reached Sam through Anna Collins, who attended the meeting as the town's only unmarried professional woman. She rode out to the ranch the next morning with the news. They're planning to boycott anyone who does business with you, Anna reported. The feed store, the livestock buyers, even the bank. Sam's jaw tightened with anger. Evie felt familiar shame creeping back into her chest. Maybe I should leave, she said quietly. Find work somewhere else. Absolutely not, Sam replied firmly. This ranch would collapse without you. But the pressure continued mounting. Suspicious glances became open hostility. Business relationships grew strained. The success they had built together was threatened by small-town prejudice and narrow minds. One evening in September, Sam found Evie crying over the account books. The numbers were still strong, but the social cost was becoming unbearable. I'm ruining your reputation, she whispered. Sam knelt beside her chair. He took her hands in his calloused palms. You saved my life, he said. Before you came, I was just existing day to day. You gave me purpose again. The truth hung between them like summer heat. I love you, Sam continued, not just as a partner, but as a woman, as the person who brought light back into my world. Evie's tears fell freely. She had not expected to find love again after so much loss and betrayal. I love you too, she admitted. But love doesn't change what people think about us. Sam stood and walked to his bedroom. He returned carrying a small wooden box. Inside lay a simple gold ring that had belonged to his mother. He dropped to one knee beside her chair. Marry me, he said. Not because of what people think, but because I want to spend my life with you. Because you're the strongest, smartest, most beautiful woman I've ever known. Evie stared at the ring through her tears. Marriage would not solve all their problems, but it would legitimize their partnership in the eyes of society. Yes, she whispered. They married 3 days later in a simple ceremony at the ranch. Anna Collins served as witness. 2 ranch hands who had grown to respect Evie attended as well. Mayor Hargrove and the town elite were notably absent, but their absence felt more like a blessing than a slight. The wedding night was tender and sweet. Years of loneliness melted away in gentle embraces and whispered promises. Marriage brought unexpected peace to the ranch. Sam and Evie settled into comfortable routines as husband and wife. Morning coffee shared in companionable silence. Evening conversations by the fire. The partnership that had begun as necessity blossomed into genuine contentment. The town's reaction was mixed but gradually shifting. Some residents grudgingly accepted Evie as Sam's legitimate wife. Others maintained their disapproval but kept it private. The marriage certificate carried legal weight that even Mayor Hargrove could not challenge directly. Business continued flourishing under Evie's management. The cattle herd grew stronger with each season. Profits allowed for ranch improvements and debt elimination. Sam's reputation as a successful rancher slowly overshadowed the scandal of his unconventional marriage. The mysterious letters continued arriving with increasing frequency. Evie collected them each Tuesday and stored them unopened in her dresser drawer. The pile grew thicker while her anxiety deepened. Someone was searching for her with persistent determination. Sam noticed her Tuesday nervousness, but respected her privacy. Everyone carried secrets from their past. He trusted she would share hers when ready. October brought the first serious challenge to their newfound stability. Mayor Hargrove convened an emergency town council meeting. The official agenda concerned livestock regulations, but the real purpose was more personal. Anna Collins attended as the school district representative. She rode to the ranch the following morning with disturbing news. "They want to ban unmarried couples from conducting business in town," Anna reported. "It's aimed directly at you two. The ordinance would require proof of marriage for all commercial transactions. Anyone unable to provide documentation would be refused service." The law appeared neutral, but everyone understood its true target. "We have marriage papers," Sam pointed out. "Hargrove is claiming your ceremony was not legally binding," Anna explained. "He says only ordained ministers can perform valid marriages in the territory." The legal challenge struck at the foundation of their relationship. Their ranch hand officiant had been a former preacher but lacked current credentials. The ceremony's validity could be questioned in territorial court. Evie felt familiar shame returning. Her presence continued creating problems for Sam despite their legal union. The weight of constant scrutiny was exhausting. "Maybe we should remarry with a proper minister," she suggested. "We're already married in every way that matters," Sam replied firmly. "I won't let them force us to prove our legitimacy." But the pressure intensified as local businesses began requiring marriage documentation. The feed store manager awkwardly requested their papers. The livestock buyer questioned their legal status. Each incident felt like a small humiliation. The bank presented the most serious challenge. Mr. Peterson, the bank president, summoned them for a private meeting in November. His office smelled of cigar smoke and leather-bound ledgers. "There are questions about your account ownership," Peterson explained carefully. "Some folks think the funds might be improperly mixed between unmarried parties." Sam's anger flared visibly. "We've been banking here for months without problems." "Times change," Peterson replied with obvious discomfort. "I need proper documentation of your marriage before I can continue normal services." The threat was clear. Without banking access, the ranch operations would collapse. All their hard work could disappear due to bureaucratic challenges. Evie studied Peterson's nervous expression. Fear motivated his actions more than personal prejudice. Mayor Hargrove was pressuring business owners to create problems for the Colton Ranch. "What kind of documentation would satisfy your requirements?" she asked calmly. "A certificate from a recognized territorial minister," Peterson replied, "or a court validation of your existing ceremony." Both options required time and travel to the territorial capital. The ranch could not afford such delays during cattle selling season. That evening, Sam paced the kitchen like a caged wolf. His frustration had reached dangerous levels. "I should ride into town and settle this with Hargrove directly," he muttered. "Violence won't solve our problem," Evie replied gently. "It will only give them more ammunition against us." She had learned to calm his anger with logical reasoning. Sam's protective instincts were admirable, but potentially destructive in their delicate situation. A knock at the door interrupted their discussion. Anna Collins stood on the porch holding a lantern against the darkness. Her expression was troubled, but determined. "I have news," Anna announced. "Bad news, and possibly good news." She entered and removed her coat. The bad news came first. "Hargrove is organizing a formal petition to the territorial governor," Anna reported. "He wants your marriage declared invalid and your business license revoked." The good news followed immediately. "But Judge Williams is coming to Redemption next month for the Winter Circuit Court," Anna continued. "He can validate your marriage certificate on the spot if you petition him directly." Hope flickered in Evie's chest. A territorial judge's validation would carry more legal weight than any minister's blessing. The solution was elegant and achievable. "There's something else," Anna added hesitantly. "A woman came through town asking questions about you, Evie. She's staying at the hotel and plans to return tomorrow." Evie's blood turned cold. The mysterious letters had finally produced a human investigator. Her past was catching up despite all efforts to escape it. "What kind of woman?" Sam asked. "Well-dressed, educated, traveling alone," Anna replied. "She said she represents some kind of legal organization from back east." The description matched Evie's worst fears. Someone with resources and authority was tracking her movements. The secret she had kept for months was about to be exposed. Sam noticed her pale expression and reached for her hand. "Whatever this is about, we'll face it together," he promised. But Evie knew some secrets could destroy even the strongest partnerships. The well-dressed woman arrived at the ranch precisely at noon. Her black traveling dress was impeccable despite the dusty road. Her carriage bore official markings from the Freedmen's Bureau. Evie watched from the kitchen window as the woman approached, her heart pounding with anticipation and dread. Margaret Washington introduced herself with professional courtesy. Her voice carried the educated tones of the Eastern establishment. She carried a leather satchel filled with official documents and wore the confident bearing of someone accustomed to conducting important business. "I represent the Estate Settlement Division of the Freedmen's Bureau," Margaret explained as they settled in the parlor. "I've been searching for you for nearly 2 years, Miss Thompson." The formal address stung. Evie had become Mrs. Colton in her heart and mind, but legal recognition remained questionable. "I'm Mrs. Colton now," Evie corrected gently. Margaret smiled and consulted her papers. "Congratulations on your marriage. That will simplify some of the legal processes." Sam sat beside Evie, providing silent support while confusion clouded his features. He had no idea what legal processes might involve his wife. "What is this about?" he asked directly. Margaret opened her satchel and withdrew a thick folder. The documents inside appeared official and important. Legal seals marked several pages. "Sarah Whitmore died 18 months ago," Margaret began. "Before her death, she executed a will leaving her entire estate to Evelyn Thompson in recognition of past friendship and as reparation for historical injustices." The words hit Evie like physical blows. Sarah Whitmore had been her childhood friend, secret teacher, and pathway to education. Learning of her death brought genuine grief. "Sarah is gone?" Evie whispered. Margaret nodded sympathetically. "Consumption took her quickly, but she spent her final months ensuring you would be properly provided for." The estate details emerged slowly. Sarah had inherited substantial wealth from her father's plantation sale and northern investments. Railroad stocks, municipal bonds, and cash holdings totaled nearly $50,000. Sam's eyes widened at the sum. $50,000 represented more money than most people saw in several lifetimes. It was enough to buy 10 ranches or establish a small business empire. "There must be some mistake," Evie protested. "Sarah couldn't have left me all that money." Margaret produced Sarah's handwritten will. The document was properly witnessed and legally binding. Sarah's elegant script covered 3 pages explaining her reasoning and expressing love for her childhood friend. The letter portion of the will brought tears to Evie's eyes. Sarah had never forgotten their secret reading lessons, or Evie's quick mind for mathematics. She credited Evie with teaching her about courage and determination during their youth. "She wanted you to have choices," Margaret explained. "Freedom to build whatever life you desired without the constraints of poverty or dependence." The inheritance transformed everything. Evie was no longer a desperate woman seeking shelter. She had become independently wealthy with resources to live anywhere and do anything. Sam processed this revelation in stunned silence. The woman he had married for love possessed enough wealth to make their ranch troubles irrelevant. She could buy respectability, influence, and social acceptance. "Why didn't you claim this inheritance sooner?" Margaret asked. Evie gestured toward the pile of unopened letters in her dresser. "I was afraid to hope for good news. My luck had been so terrible, I assumed the letters brought more problems." Margaret smiled understandingly. Many people react similarly. Sudden wealth can be as frightening as poverty. The legal processes required signatures and official documentation. Margaret had prepared everything necessary to transfer the inheritance immediately. Banks in Denver would honor the estate drafts upon proper identification. As Margaret organized her papers, the implications settled over Sam and Evie like a heavy blanket. Their entire relationship had been built on mutual need and shared struggle. Sudden wealth removed those foundations. "You could go anywhere now," Sam said quietly after Margaret departed. "San Francisco, New York, even Europe if you wanted." The suggestion hung between them like a test. Evie heard the fear in his voice despite his attempt to sound supportive. "Is that what you want?" she asked. "For me to leave?" "I want you to be happy," Sam replied carefully. "If staying here limits your opportunities, then maybe you should explore other options." The conversation revealed Sam's deepest insecurity. He worried that Evie had only married him out of desperation. Now that she possessed other choices, would she still choose him? "The money changes things," Evie admitted honestly, "but not the way you think." She moved closer and took his hands in hers. The calluses on both their palms told the story of months working together. "I could buy a mansion in Denver," she continued, "but I've already found my home. I could travel the world, but I want to build something meaningful right here." Sam searched her eyes for certainty. "You're sure? You could have anything you want now." "I have everything I want," Evie replied firmly. "A partner who respects my mind, work that challenges my abilities, a man who loves me for who I am, not what I can provide." The inheritance represented security and opportunity, but not a reason to abandon the life they had built together. If anything, the money would allow them to expand their dreams rather than replace them. "What do you want to do with it?" Sam asked. Evie smiled as ideas began forming. The money could solve their immediate problems and create lasting positive change. "First, we're going to make this ranch the most successful operation in Colorado Territory," she announced. The inheritance transformed the Colton Ranch into the most prosperous operation in 3 counties. Evie invested strategically in purebred cattle, modern equipment, and land expansion. Within 6 months, their herd doubled in size while improving in quality. Sam's expertise combined with unlimited resources created remarkable results. The couple's elevated financial status shifted town dynamics dramatically. Mayor Hargrove abandoned his legal challenges and began courting their favor with embarrassing enthusiasm. The bank president who had questioned their marriage now offered premium services with obsequious smiles. Fair weather friends emerged from every corner of Redemption. Evie watched these social reversals with amused cynicism. The same people who had scorned her poverty now praised her business acumen. Money had not changed her character, but it revealed the true nature of others. "Funny how respectability can be purchased," she observed to Sam one evening. "You were always respectable," he replied. "Now they just can't afford to ignore it." The couple used their influence purposefully. Evie established the Redemption Community School with Anna Collins as headmistress. The institution welcomed children regardless of race or social status. Quality education would provide opportunities the next generation deserved. Construction began on the schoolhouse in spring. Local workers earned good wages building the finest educational facility in the territory. The library alone cost more than most families earned in a year. Evie spared no expense ensuring excellent learning conditions. Anna Collins recruited teachers from Eastern universities. The school curriculum included advanced mathematics, literature, science, and practical skills. Students would graduate prepared for college or skilled trades according to their interests and abilities. The ranch became a model employer throughout Colorado Territory. Sam and Evie hired workers based on skill and character rather than appearance or background. Fair wages and decent treatment attracted the most capable hands from surrounding areas. Former soldiers found steady work managing livestock. Skilled craftsmen built improvements with pride in their craftsmanship. The ranch community grew into an example of what cooperation could accomplish when prejudice was set aside. Judge Williams arrived for the circuit court session in late spring. His validation of Sam and Evie's marriage certificate ended all legal challenges to their union. The territorial seal on the document carried unquestionable authority. Mayor Hargrove attended the courthouse ceremony with forced congratulations. His political survival required adapting to the new reality of Colton influence in local affairs. Power dynamics had shifted permanently. The wedding validation became an excuse for community celebration. Anna Collins organized a reception at the new schoolhouse. Most of Redemption attended, eager to demonstrate their acceptance of the successful couple. Evie used the gathering to announce her next project. The Redemption Women's Education Society would teach reading and mathematics to any woman seeking self-improvement. Classes would be free with childcare provided during sessions. The announcement surprised many attendees. Few people expected wealthy women to concern themselves with the struggles of less fortunate neighbors. But Evie remembered her own hunger for learning and the barriers she had overcome. "Education freed me from limitations others tried to impose," she explained to the assembled crowd. "Every woman deserves the same opportunity to develop her potential." The program launched successfully with Anna Collins supervising instruction. Women from surrounding farms and settlements traveled considerable distances for weekly lessons. The hunger for knowledge was universal among those previously denied access. Sam supported these initiatives wholeheartedly. He understood that Evie's generous spirit was part of what he loved about her. The money had amplified her natural desire to help others, rather than corrupting her values. Their personal happiness deepened, along with their community involvement. The partnership that had begun as desperate necessity evolved into profound love and shared purpose. They worked together with the synchronicity of longtime companions. Spring brought joyful news. Evie discovered she was pregnant with their first child. The prospect of parenthood added new dimensions to their dreams for the future. They began planning improvements to accommodate a growing family. The baby's arrival in autumn crowned their transformation from desperate individuals to thriving family. Samuel Colton Jr. entered the world healthy and strong, welcomed by parents who had found their way through loss to lasting happiness. Evie held her son while reviewing the ranch account books. The numbers told a story of remarkable success built on smart decisions and hard work. But the real victory was measured in relationships rather than financial figures. Sam watched his wife teaching their infant son to recognize letters in picture books. Education would begin early in the Colton household. Their child would grow up with advantages his parents had fought to achieve. The community school thrived under Anna Collins' leadership. Students from diverse backgrounds learned together in harmony that would have seemed impossible just years earlier. Progress was measurable and young minds open to new possibilities. Mayor Hargrove retired from politics, replaced by a more progressive candidate who supported the Colton's community initiatives. The change reflected shifting attitudes throughout Redemption as prosperity benefited everyone. On quiet evenings, Sam and Evie sat on their porch watching the sunset paint the mountains purple and gold. The view encompassed not just natural beauty, but the tangible results of their partnership. The ranch stretched to the horizon with healthy cattle grazing in improved pastures. The schoolhouse stood as a monument to the power of education. Workers' families lived in comfortable housing provided by generous employers. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if you had turned me away that first night?" Evie asked. Sam considered the question seriously. "I think we both would have died in different ways. You from cold and hunger, me from loneliness and purposelessness." Their journey from desperate strangers to successful partners proved that worth was not determined by circumstances of birth or temporary setbacks. Character, intelligence, and determination created value that no external judgment could diminish. Young Samuel gurgled happily in his mother's arms, unaware of the struggles that had preceded his comfortable existence. He would grow up in a world where his mixed heritage was celebrated rather than scorned, where opportunity was limited only by imagination and effort.